Hey guys, this is Reggie from Gunpla Network, and today I'm bringing you my review of the figure art standard Perfect Cell from Dragon Ball Z. Now before I begin, I'd like to give a big thank you to Canadian Gundam for supplying this kit for their review. They've got so many different kits from Gundam to Dragon Ball Z to Digimon and just so many others that I can't even begin to think of on top of my head. They have a flat rate shipping fee of $10 all throughout North America, and they got a lot of kits, both popular and obscure, so go check them out and see what they got. Tell them that Gunpla Network sent you. Now here we are with Perfect Cell in its perfect form. And before we even begin, I gotta say, the part that blew me away, if you remember from my unboxing, was the fact that this is a multi-dimensional build, and what I loved about the fact that it's like the muscle building system that they have for these Dragon Ball Z kits. It's not just you put two pieces of plastic, slap it together, and there you go. They actually have multiple layers in this, and what I appreciate about Cell more than anything else is the fact that one of the most biggest characteristics about Cell physical is that he has these scales, and what's cool about this kit, all of his scales are all molded in. About 10 or even 15 years ago, this would have been a whole bunch of stickers. It would have been an ugly mess to even paint or even apply. Now it's just, you slap it on together and there you go. They're actually built into the model kit, and I really have to appreciate that. Outside of that, you got a different array of colors, from lime green to moss green, a matte black for his wings and his accent colors, a pale yellow for his feet, very grayish white skin, and overall I gotta say this looks like Cell. There's no other way to say it. They got his form down, well, perfectly, and I gotta say this is a fine representation of the character. In terms of articulation, you're gonna get a decent amount from Cell. His hips aren't that far out. They don't go out as much as I would like, but I guess they're trying to keep it more humanistic. That might be a little bit unrealistic for a human or a humanoid to be able to pull off, but you would think, well, it's a model kit, they should be able to do more. Arms work just as fine. They have a bit of a hinge system so they can go out more for the Kamehamehas. Double jointed elbow, you get the popping hands, a swivel on a ball joint. The waist isn't going to get that much, but you'll be able to get decent enough. The toes can move out pretty well, and his wings can move out. They're on hinges by themselves. Overall, I gotta say that Cell's articulation is pretty great and reasonable to be expected of a humanoid figure like Cell. Now, in terms of accessories, you get the basic Kamehameha effect parts that you get with a lot of DBZ model kits. You're going to get the charging up ball, which you place on his hand, and you have to place it correctly to make sure it lines up so you can hold it in his hands like a basketball without it falling apart, which is actually pretty smart engineering, if I have to say so myself. And then you get the traditional blast, which comes with a stand because it won't be able to hand up on its own. It would be cool to see someone put some LEDs on it to make the Kamehameha glow. That would be a nice little modification for those advanced builders out there if you want to give that a go. And then you get the bigger wave effect that unfortunately you won't see in this review because mine wasn't able to go on that well. And overall, it just wasn't able to stick to the Kamehameha wave, the big swooping effect that goes on the tip of it. So you won't see that, but it is there if you can make that work. By himself, Cell's kind of boring. Now you might think, Reggie, he's such a fine character. He is a fine character, but as a model kit, you know, eliminate that much. Outside of the Kamehameha and just having Cell as a figure, there's not much to work with. Thankfully, I was included with this effects part, the blue effects part, which is able to give up his charging poses a little bit more finesse to them. They're blue, even though Cell's aura, at least in the anime, was yellow, and in the manga was white. Okay, beggars are being choosers. I'm being picky, so that's my bad. With this included effect part, the aura effects, it makes Cell a little bit more lively because he was boring by himself, but the charge up animation or the poses you want to get make him more interesting to look at. It makes it more engaging to go as a figure. Because remember, you're supposed to be able to pose and have fun with this. The fun factor with Cell by himself is limited, but with the effect parts, you get more dimensions to it. As well, you get more dimensions with Cell, and you get more engagement once you have them with other DBZ kits, like Vegeta here. It's more interesting to pose them together instead of just the lonely Cell by himself, because there's only so much you can do with these figures by themselves. You want to have them with the contemporaries. And I gotta say, in terms of scaling, they got Cell correctly. Cell should be about 7 feet, while the other guys are somewhere between like the mid to high 5 feet, which they were able, I gotta say, as a model kit, they were able to scale all of these figures pretty well and with thought, and not just, let's just make a model kit of this figure and not care if they scale up with each other. Overall, my final thoughts on my Cell kit is that it was a fun build. It was very interesting. It was very different. I've done a lot of Gundams in my day, and a Dragon Ball Z kit every now and then breaks up the monotony. It gives you something different. It gives you something more engaging to look at. Humanoid kits are a lot different to build than Gundams, because Gundams are machines. They're mobile suits. After a while, you start to see the patterns of how they connect together and how they're built. Building a human or humanoid like Cell or Vegeta is very interesting, because they have the muscle system where instead of just slapping two pieces together, you're building an actual human, and it has human physiology in mind when coming together with these kits. So that is an added bonus to what's going on with the Dragon Ball Z kits. And overall, I gotta say, they did a fine representation. My only complaint is I wish we didn't have the tongue sticker for Cell's open mouth expression. That would have been nice to not have. It would have been cool if you could mold the tongue, but I guess the technology just isn't quite there yet. But overall, this is a great representation of the character. He is a little bland by himself, but if you get him with other DBZ kits, or you get him with an effects part or an aura effect part, it does get more interesting, and it does draw more attention to Cell on the shelf. So I gotta say, you need to have that in mind. Make sure you get other figures that you like with Cell, not just Cell by himself. So with that in mind, I am Reggie, and I will see you later.